Hey, what's up, you guys? We are back to another video. My name is Gavin. Today we're going to be ranking 39 horror films. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Number 39 is Jaws the Revenge. Jaws the Revenge is a living piece of garbage that doesn't deserve to exist. Is there more to be said about this movie? Hey, what's up, you guys? We are back to another video. My name is Gavin. Today we're going to be ranking 39 horror films. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Number 39 is Jaws the Revenge. Jaws the Revenge is a living piece of garbage that doesn't deserve to exist. Is there more to be said about this movie? Number 38. This might surprise some people that another franchise isn't here, and that is Jeepers Creepers 3. This film is terrible in every sense of the word. A lot of people find the Creeper entertaining. Sure, he's entertaining, but he's like barely in the film, and he's not really all that great compared to the first two. I think that has some of the worst acting I've ever seen in a movie ever. I think that it has some terrible, terrible special effects. It feels cheap, it looks cheap, and it is cheap. Number 37. You're probably shocked it's this high, and that is Seed of Chucky. Now, this film is still terrible in every single way. It makes some really gross, disgusting decisions. The whole opening scene, which I will not say is really disgusting and gross. I think that the humor is terrible. It's just a dreadful film in every sense of the word, and it's just a trek to get through. But there is maybe like one or two jokes that actually somewhat land. And that whole scene where Glenn's chopping up Chucky with an axe is pretty cool. Besides that, bad movie. Number 36 is Tremor 6, A Cold Day in Hell. I hate this movie. It's terrible as well. I think that there's almost really nothing good with this film at all. I think that the whole thing, it's just boring. It's like the only boring Tremors movie that is just a direct to get through. And just all the acting is terrible. The special effects are somehow even worse than they were in some of the other films. And yeah, I really hope Tremor 7 improves on a lot of the faults that Tremor 6 had. Number 35 is Insidious Chapter 4. A lot of people think this is just a mediocre movie, but I think it's a terrible one. I think this is the worst acting out of all three Insidious movies, and I don't think some of the acting halfway through Insidious Chapter 3 was really all that great. Even, like, I forgot the main person's name. She's like the old lady that helped out the father from the original Insidious. I forgot his name. I forgot his name. And yeah, this movie's terrible. Bad acting, bad special effects, stupid jump scares. It's a generic horror movie, but it plays off terribly. Number 34 is Rings 2005. Oh my gosh, we haven't even gotten to the Ring movies yet, and the fact that we're this high is shocking. This movie is terrible in a lot of ways. It's a short, so it's really hard to judge it, but it's still terrible. It's supposed to take place between the Ring 1 and the Ring 2, whatever. It's still awful. It's trying to be a rehash. It's not a good rehash. The acting is horrendous, as well as just characters. The jump scares are terrible, and you can tell it was a direct-to-TV short film. Number 33 is Tremors 5. Now, I know it seems like we're probably never going to get to the good ones, but trust me, I'm not going to bash all these movies. This movie is terrible, still, though. Bart, I think Bernard or whatever the heck his name is, the sergeant guy from the original Tremors. Drinking his own pee, not a fan, not a fan at all. The whole bloodlines thing, could care less. Terrible acting, terrible stuff. The only thing I would say that's good about those that's interesting to me in Africa where the Tremors are a lot bigger, but besides that, it's not a good movie in the slightest. Number 32 is actually The Ring 2. This movie is terrible. Still, we haven't gotten to the good ones yet. We'll get to them eventually when we get to them. I still think this is a terrible film, though, obviously. It just rehashes the original, but not nearly as good. There's terrible acting all around. All the acting is awful. There is not a single good actor in this film. The jump scares, just generic jump scares overall. And I'm just say, it's just a terrible movie. 17. I won't be just bashing the Rings films after this. Trust me. I promise I won't be doing that too much. It's a terrible film still. Like just basically all the issues I had with Rings 2017, except It tries something different with the narrator stuff. Does it work? No. This film actually might be worse than Ring 2. But at least tried something different, so I respect it for that. Number 31 is It Chapter 2. I am ashamed that, and I'm so sad that it has to be this low. I am really sad because this film has so much potential to be awesome, to be great, to be better than 2017. But man, did I mess it up in the end. I've read the book, and there's a lot of stuff in here that wasn't related to the book, and it's in a bad way. Sometimes, if they change stuff up and switch stuff up, I'm fine with it, but they do it in a bad way here, and when it's in a bad way, you don't want that in your movie. I think that just some of the decisions really bad, like the whole thing about them having an artifact and they have to go search for things. It's not in the book at all. If you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. Pennywise, just Bill Skarsgård in this, in my opinion, was really weak in this film. And he was so great in Ring in no, I'm saying Ring 2017, It 2017, and and like you can't really honestly. I thought he was worse than Tim Curry in this film. I think Tim Curry is awesome in that movie. We'll get to that one. We'll get to that one. I thought that just some of the dialogue was really badly written and terribly scripted. I thought that third act, why? Why would you use the spider? You could have used anything else, and you decided to go with the spider. That's the really one of the main things you didn't change, and it's the worst part of the book. My gosh, um, just some of the there's some unexplained characters like with Ben. There was this whole interesting story. They're like, nope, we don't got time for that in a 3 hour movie. Um, and just the whole middle act just tacks on so much, and just the whole dinner scene, which was it switches so much from tone to tone to tone. It's extremely jarring. The CGI is horrendous, especially that thing reference. That thing reference I will never, ever forget. It was that awful. And the fact that someone be like, oh, cool, thing reference. When literally it is like the best example of practical effects in a horror film. They screwed up and just make it completely CGI. If you're going to make a thing reference, do it right. And Muschietti, of course, he gets overloaded with CGI, like I just explained there. And just there's so many messy plot lines, and the middle act is a complete mess. I had fun with this movie. This was a fun movie. Of course, the cast is amazing. But really, besides the cast and just a couple tensionful scenes, I didn't feel tense when I should have, like I did in that original movie in 2017 film, the remake. And yeah, this movie's just, why does it exist? Number 29 is in 1990. Now, you're probably shocked that it's actually above It Chapter 2. Don't get me wrong, they're both terrible. I think that the acting is pretty terrible in this film. Some of the child actors are good, but honestly, pretty much all the adult actors are horrendous, and some of the child actors are really bad. Pretty much all the cast is terrible except for Tim Curry. Tim Curry is really, of course, great, and he's the standout, and he holds this film over the other ones. I can't really blame this film too much because it's a miniseries, and honestly, I have less issues with this movie than I did with the other one because it actually sticks to the original plot, and it works a lot better that way. Still a terrible film, though. Coming up next is The Thing 2011. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that we're literally at 28. 28 on our list. And we're still talking about bad movies. This movie is terrible. This movie really is terrible. Honestly, the acting is really good, honestly. I don't really blame the actors for this. The main thing that really makes this movie horrendous is just the special effects. The special effects in this film are dreck. They are complete dreck, and they really hold this film back for me. Number 27 is Jaws 3D. I'm shocked. I'm very shocked that there's this big of a gap. It's really just a bad film. I don't think this is a terrible movie where like they're just sort of bad. I think that overall it's just really dated with the 3D and it's just kind of a boring movie. I didn't really find this one entertaining like a lot of people did. Number 26 is Cult of Chucky. Like all of these films, I did a review, or they were in a ranking of all of these films. Honestly, Cult of Chucky is just a really bad film. overall, I would say. I think that really just it's really a mess. Like some stuff is really good, honestly. Like I think there's some really great kills. I think the whole the insane asylum setting I really like. But it really is just a complete mess. It gives the middle finger the rules of franchise. And just there's less this film does wrong. Check out my ranking or my review if you want to know more of my thoughts. Number 25. Wow, we're so close to the good movies. The Thing from Another World. Now, for a lot of people, this is a classic. For me personally, I've never really been a fan of it. I watched this film 3 times at the time of recording this video. I just never really liked it. If you want to check out, I have a review and a ranking for it. But really just the special effects don't really hold up that well. There's some good enough acting, but it's just like there's some really good acting and there's some good build tension and score, but just it's so boring. It drags so much and it feels extremely dated. And in my opinion, if a film is boring, that instantly makes it bad. Number 24 is finally Tremors 2. Finally, we can talk about some good horror films. This movie, it's not the best, but it's a decent film, honestly, I would say. It's an average sequel, and I would agree with that. It's just a decent film. It's a very decent film. I think the acting is really good. I think that it definitely takes a little bit of a different spin with the whole metamorphosis and just like how they end up becoming these what the heck do they call them? Screechers. And yeah, some of the special effects don't work. Some of them do somewhat hold up. Overall, it's just a decent film. Number 23 is Jaws 2. Honestly, this is a really good film. Not a great film, but it's a good film, honestly. It sort of has the template of a slasher film, in a way, honestly, because if you look at it closely, there's teenagers, they're on rafts, and they're getting picked off one by one. That's kind of the template of a slasher film, and I like that did something kind of different. Also, I think that the acting is still very great. It's a good film. Number 22. This is going to cause all the controversy in the comments below, and that is The Ring 2002, the remake. I just think this is just a good movie. This is just a really good film. I don't think it's a great film. I think it's kind of overhyped. I think that it does have a great job of building tension, has some really great jump scares, some really good acting. But my issue with the film, I always have this issue, and I always hold it against it, is it feels like it's building up to something, and then the movie just kind of ends. I always had the issue with this film, and I'll always keep that issue with this film. But nonetheless, still really good. Number 21 is Child's Play 3. Honestly, just a really good film. I think a lot of people, this is usually the one in the trilogy, I count it as a trilogy anyways, is that this is the one that people think is bad, that just should not exist, is just unnecessary. For me personally, I thought this was a really good film. I don't know why people hate it so much. I thought, of course, you have a very entertaining guy, the haircutter guy, and just like, that scene, like, this is what Chucky goes full blown with his one-liners. Presto, you're dead. And just like, and I'm new and improved. And just one-liners like that are really entertaining. Some really great kills. Of course, the third act is just amazing. But it does feel a little bit exaggerated. And there's a lot of things that they are rehashing. But overall, it's still a good movie. Number 19 is Insidious 2. Honestly, this is just a really good film overall, I would say. Is it as good as the original? No. Nowhere near close. But I think there's some really great world building. Of course, we get to see some really great acting from our leads. It does feel quite rehashy, and that kind of brings it down. It's just kind of sort of what we got, just not as good, but still really, really good. Number 19 is Insidious 2. Honestly, this is just a really good film overall, I would say. Is it as good as the original? No. Nowhere near close. But I think there's some really great world building. Of course, we get to see some really great acting from our leads. It does feel quite rehashy, and that kind of brings it down. It's just kind of sort of what we got, just not as good, but still really, really good. Number 18 is Gremlins 2. Yeah, this was a weird movie to say the least. It's a really good film if you look at it quality-wise, but it's just kind of just in technical sequel that does really well, is it takes what worked in the original film and it kind of expands into somewhat of its own thing. And I think it does really work and is really great at doing that. It's weird, it's bonkers and bizarre, and it's extremely entertaining. The practical effects are still really good acting, and a hilarious humor. If you haven't checked this one out, and you're afraid this is going to ruin the original for you, it won't. See it. Number 17 is Bride of Chucky. This is overall just a really good film. A lot of people dislike this movie, but for me personally, it's a ton of fun to watch. I think that there's some really great kills, some great Chucky one-liners. Jennifer Tilly's introduced, and she's great. I think that overall, it's just a really good Chucky film. Like I said, for all of these, pretty much all of these I have either reviews on or they're in a ranking. So yeah, just go check those out. Coming up next is Insidious Chapter 3 at number 16. This is a really good movie overall, honestly. I think that it has some really good characters. At first, when I saw about the first half of the film, I was like, this is just good. Okay, whatever. This isn't better than it. Chapter 2, I'm like, and then I'm like, oh, this is great. This is awesome. I think that, honestly, I think it has some really great jump scares. Of course, you got Lee Winnell directing it. It's going to be great. I think that overall, just there's some really good characters that we do care about. I think that it just can be very creepy on selling attempts. Not as creepier on selling as the first two, but still really does a good job of that. But the whole mother thing, come on, that was so cliche. And I think everyone else can admit too. Some of the acting, pretty bad at times, and some of the writing was pretty poor. But overall, it's a really good movie. Number 15 is Tremors: The Legend Begins. I think the overall is really good thing in a review, and you can just check that out. Honestly, it has some of the best special effects in the entire franchise, in my opinion. It has some really good acting. It's overall a really good film. Number 14 is Conjuring. Now, I think this film is quite overrated, honestly. I don't know what's so fantastic about it like everyone says it is. But honestly, overall, it's still a really good film. I think Ed and Related Warren give great performances. And I think that all around, I think everyone else does a really good job. I think there's some really great, fantastic visuals by James Wan. Because, come on, it's James Wan. Of course there's going to be some amazing visuals. Sometimes it can get a little annoying, though, and there's some very cliche horror tropes. Like the fact that they're so calm and there's literally a demon haunting their house. And the fact that the lady doesn't call the cops, just stuff like that really does annoy me. But overall, it's still a really good film, and I would give it a B+, because it's very good. If you want to get my in-depth thoughts, check out my review. Number 13 is Tremors. Honestly, this is just a really good film. A lot of people think it's a fantastic masterpiece. I just think it's really good, honestly. Kevin Bacon is really good in the role. The acting overall is really good. I think the action is also really good. It's just a fun time that you gotta see for yourself. But the special effects are really dated, and that kind of holds this film down. Number 12 is Gremlins. Honestly, this film is just really great, honestly. I keep saying honestly a lot. Honestly, I usually don't say that word. I'll try to stop. But honestly, this is a really good film. This is a really great film. There's just some great practical effects. There's a really good score. It's a very funny comedy, and overall, it's just a really great fun time that you need to watch. Number 11. Not 12. We just did 12. Number 11 is controversial. Curse of Chucky. Now, 12 and up are all great films. This is an A- for me. It has some fantastic visuals by Don Mancini. Seriously, he really upped his game after the garbage dumpster fire that was Seed. Seriously, there are some fantastic visuals. The whole scene where Chucky puts the poison in the whole bowl and then eating it. It's an amazing scene, and just, oh my gosh, that scene was just fantastic. I think that overall, it's just has these really, it's the closest to the original Child's Play. So if you like that, if you like that one, you're gonna like this one. And overall, just some fantastic tension built. I think what holds it back, though, is there are some plot holes and just connecting the scene and stuff like that. That's a terrible movie. Quit trying to make it work. And the design of Chucky for most of the film is terrible, and some of the acting isn't all that well, and some of the characters aren't that great. But overall, it is a great film. Now, top 10. I'm gonna have to address this before I continue. This is my opinion, obviously, and that's no-brainer. But it's come on, you guys, this is so difficult. This is 40 films to rank. Of course, it's going to be controversial. Of course, we have different opinions. I don't think there's a single person on Earth that has the exact same list as me, or maybe not even the exact same list as you. So yeah, but my number 10 is Child's Play 2019. This is a great film, honestly. It's an A- for me personally. I think that the kills are some of the best in the franchise. Absolutely phenomenal kills. I think that the score is debatably the best Child's Play score. I think it is, honestly. It's fantastic. I think that Andy, he's not great, but he's really good. He's definitely better than Alex Vincent, even though Alex Vincent was really good. Child's Play 2 will get that film whenever we get to it. But I think that overall it has some really deep things to say about how the mother is kind of like how she like parents her kid and like kind of like lets him do whatever she wants and treats him more like a friend, and how he would kind of take those traits from her mother onto Chucky. And it's just a really deep theme overall, honestly. And I think that just Mark Hamill is absolutely just amazing as Chucky. But I do have problems with this film. One of my main ones is the doll looks horrendous. That's probably one of my main issues with the film, is the doll looks horrible. Another one is the fact that there's some CGI that doesn't really quite hold up. But for the most part, it's a great film and a fun time. Here's one that is probably very low for a lot of people in their opinion. My number 9 is Jeepers Creepers, the original. The 2000, I think, 1. I think that's when it came out. I'm not 110% sure about that. If I'm wrong, please don't slay my throat. I still think this is a really good film, honestly, though. Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Like I said it before, I can't tell. But overall, I think that, of course, that theme is great. So, like, come on. It's an awesome theme. If you don't think that's an awesome theme, you are lying. I think that overall the acting is really great. I think the creeper builds its tension is really eerie and creepy and unsettling. And overall, it's a really great film. I have one issue with it though. One issue. No one addresses it. I'm just probably going to be the only person on planet Earth that's going to address it. And that is the fact that the whole thing about them revealing about how when he eats an eye and it becomes part of him and stuff like that, I've never been a fan of that. I still don't like that twist. I never will like that twist. But overall, I still think it is a great film. Here comes the controversy. My number 8 is Jeepers Creepers 2. I know, yes, I know, a lot of people don't really like this film. Yes, I know, I put it over the original. Yes, I know, a lot of people don't really like it over the original, or like it too much. But I will explain now. This will be quite a long one, probably the longest one out of all of them. But overall, I think that the special effects are still really great. Some of them don't hold up, but some of the acting is absolutely stellar and like, amazing. But it's mainly just I think that like the main guy who's like out for revenge to the creeper, I think is amazing. Everyone else, they're either really good or just not that great, honestly. Some of the acting is kind of bad. But overall, I think there's some really good acting from some of the high schoolers, honestly. I don't think they were that bad. A lot of people really can't stand the jerk in a bad way. But for me personally, I liked him. Like, he's designed as a character you hate, and he works for me personally. I know for a lot of people he doesn't. But for me personally, he works, and I just love to hate him when he dies. I'm like, oh, yes, final. And just, the creeper, in my opinion, is fantastic. We get more screen time with him, so we get a lot more with him. In my opinion, I thought he was better in this movie because we got more screen time. And just that it's kind of tension-filled because they're in a bus and stuff. And overall, sure, it does have issues. There are problems with it. It's barely better than the original, but I still think it is, and I'm one of the very few people that will stand by that. Number 7 is It. Honestly, this is a great movie. Not a fantastic one, but definitely a great one. I think, of course, it's definitely one of the best Stephen King films I've seen so far. Not the greatest, but one of the best for sure. Bill Skarsgård gives a phenomenal performance and just destroys Tim Curry. He's way better than Tim Curry, in my opinion. I think Finn Wolfhard steals the show. I am a big Finn Wolfhard fan, and he just kills it in every scene he's in. The cast overall is great. Stanley, I wish we got more time with him. He wasn't really that heavy in the film. All the characters are great. It's just a great film overall. Coming in number 6 is Insidious. Really great film. I think that, of course, I think her name's Lynn Shay. I'm not 110% sure about that. But she's, of course, whoever she is, she's great in the role. I think that all the other family members are definitely the greatest of the entire franchise, and I thought they all give really great performances. I think, of course, James Wan is fantastic at jump scares, and there's some fantastic jump scares in here. And, of course, Redman is probably the scariest theater experience I've ever really had in a horror film. My only issue is that in the end they kind of felt like they were setting up a sequel, but overall, great movie. Number 5 is Child's Play 2. It is honestly a really great film. I like the addition of Kyle. I think that, of course, there's some amazing kills, and it's a fantastic film. Great third act, and yeah, I love Child's Play 2. Number 4 is Child's Play. It's a classic. All of these I got reviews for, so I'm not going to go too in-depth with them. I think overall it's just a fantastic film. Great kills, great tension, Great characters, some acting, not that great, but still great movie. Number 3 is The Ring You. I think this is very underrated. Honestly, I think there's some fantastic visuals. I think that just some of the characters are really good. There's some great performances, but sometimes it can move very slow. Number 2 is the original Jaws. Steven Spielberg's classic brought to life. I think it's just a fantastic thriller. I think amazing. It just has amazing visuals. I think it's just Jaws. What is there more to say about it? But number one is The Thing. I've talked about this film ad nauseum. It's fantastic. John Carpenter's classic brought to life. Amazing score. It's The Thing. So yeah, guys, that's the video. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you guys next time. Make sure to please share us with your friends and stuff because this video took forever to edit. Bye.